Hello and welcome to the third session of Growing Humans by Design. Thank you very much for joining me for this third session. I'm actually really excited about this one tonight. The nerves are sort of building into a more positive mindset, and I'm feeling so much more energetic and proficient at coming to you with these technological things. So I'll open up the presentation and we'll just do a review. If anybody has got any questions that have come up from the last two sessions, please don't hesitate to pop them into the chat box. And if anything comes up throughout the presentation, please do that too. And if I don't address them at the time, we'll circle back around at the end of the session. So let me just share my screen. Right. Move all of these things. Bear with me. Right. Let's go. Cool. So I'm not at the start, I don't think. Right. Growing Humans by Design, Session 3, Authority and Profiles. And I was very glad after last night's session that we didn't dive into authority, because I felt really chunked out at the end of yesterday. So yeah, it was a lot to undertake with the strategy. I felt like I had a couple of gaps in those slides, so hopefully I've addressed how that there be a better flow in tonight's slides. So yeah, let's kick off. So what is authority? So human design authority is your decision-making style, or how best you are designed to make decisions. Along with your strategy, your authority is the most potent source of inner guidance. It can be difficult to connect with your authority due to the disconnect with and the regulation within, or dysregulation within our bodies. And that's just as we carry drama and trauma and all of life. So you can build this connection and creating transformative change by practicing pause, so you can observe, be present, and create space to reprogram your response. So that goes for every energy type. You will benefit from being able to see those reactive things within and those patterns, those ways that you would ordinarily behave, and add a bit of a pause space into your life so you can say, is this actually true to my design? So when we're looking at the energy spectrum, we talked about that right from the get-go, right from the mechanics of the chart and how the energy spectrum works. So along with your strategy, I've said that before, is your authority is the most potent source of inner guidance. Making decisions that are correct for you leads to your signature feeling, which is the higher expression, and your not self is the feeling that indicates the incorrectness. So it's the lower expression. So again, as we talked about, every piece of your human design chart has a lower and a higher expression. And I tapped on this yesterday a little bit with the generator, but I didn't fill in the gaps with the rest of the types. So let's look at those. So a generator, if you are living a life of alignment and you are listening to your strategy and following your authority, you will feel satisfaction. And if you're not living in alignment, and it's not always that you're not living in alignment, but the signpost for you for change and to relook at things is frustration. For a manifesting generator, because they're the blend between the generator and the manifestors, they experience satisfaction and peace when they are living in alignment. But when things need to shift and change and there's growth at foot, then they will be feeling frustration, anger. That is their signposts. For a projector, they feel success, and when not in their not self theme, they're feeling bitterness. A manifestor will feel peace in their signature feeling and anger in their not self theme. And the reflectors will feel disappointment when they I've done that back to front. They will feel disappointment when they're in not self theme, and surprise when they are living to their signature. So the authority types, each authority is established through the defined centers and combination of defined centers within your chart. So, and the authority also works in a hierarchical way. So as we've got them listed here, this is the hierarchy, and this will become clearer as we move on. This is the hierarchy of the authorities. So there's the emotional, the sacral, the splenic, the ego, the self, the outer, and the lunar. So there's 7. Some of them get lumped up in others sometimes, but we'll go through each of these together. So the emotional means that your solar plexus is defined, and 55%, and these are a bit of a stab, but they're the percentage is around about right. So 55% of the population is emotional, has an emotional authority. And what I find really interesting about that is, for somebody that is an emotional person, I have a defined solar plexus. What I feel so passionate about is the fact that there is 45% of the population that are walking around with an open solar plexus. So that means that they are absorbing and amplifying half of the population's emotions. So with 70% of us carrying open heads and 45% of the population carrying open solar plexuses, no wonder there is anxiety and depression and all the other mental health issues that we're carrying as a society. So when we can learn how we operate through human design, we can create so much more understanding, so much more acceptance, and knowing that if you've got an open solar plexus and you're feeling emotional, it's not fucking yours. So it's developing some strategies to clean out that solar plexus if you are feeling emotional, and then finding out how you can cope with that as well. So like I said in this chart, so let me go through that after I've done my emotional rant. So the solar plexus is defined for an emotional, the sacral is defined for a sacral authority, the spleen is defined for a splenic, the ego is defined for ego, the G center, the identity center is defined for the self-projected authority. The outer authority is sometimes called a mental authority or environmental authority. So they're just the top, the definition is in the top. And the lunar authority sits with our reflectors. And that's because they have absolutely no definition in their chart. They have no defined centers within their chart, no defined centers or channels. So, so they operate from a different authority to everyone else. Let's take a breath. Because our authority is governed by our centers, I thought we'd just review this. And thank you so much, Anna. She's said she wasn't going to make it today, but she asked me a question last night after our workshop and talked about getting some clarity in the chart. So in the group, Illuminate Your Alchemy, I've just added a really nice basic component breakdown, so you can come back and refer to when you're going, what is a gate? So because the authority is really dependent on the definition and the centers, I thought we'd just revisit that too. So here again we have the the chart. I'll just let Nyla in. So at the top here, this is the head, and it is the space for inspiration. The next one down is the ajna. That is where we do conceptualization. So it's taking the ideas and processing it into systematic things. The throat here is about communication. The diamond is the G center in the middle. It's all about identity and love. The ego is about will and determination. Our sacral here is about the life force energy. Off to the left, we have the spleen. That's about survival and instincts. Over here, we have the solar plexus. And down the bottom, we have the root. So the solar plexus is for the emotional center, and the root is the space for adrenaline. Is the G the heart? No. The ego is referred to as the heart. Sometimes the G center can be referred to as the heart because that's where our magnetic monopole sits. But technically, the ego center is referred to as the heart. Hope that makes sense. So we'll just kick into these emotional authorities as they and I'll discuss the hierarchies attached, the way the hierarchy works too. So if you have an emotional authority like myself, you will have a defined solar plexus. So anyone with a defined solar plexus will be an emotional authority. There is no other center that trumps the solar plexus. It is the top of the hierarchy for authorities. If you are an emotional authority, your decision-making process involves riding the wave of emotions to gain clarity and insight. This develops over time. So the key, I even write it in my report, the mantra for an emotional body, for somebody with emotional authority, needs to be, can I get back to you? I need to check my diary. That sounds so great, but I just have to check in with a few things and get back to you. And depending on the gates that you have defined within the solar plexus will determine what type of wave frequency you feel. So throughout, another layer of human design includes circuitry, and there is an individual circuit, a collective circuit, and a tribal circuit, and there's some source pieces too. But so in the wave frequencies that are connected to the solar plexus align with the source, the individual, the tribal, and collective. So depending on what sort of definition you've got in your solar plexus will be how you experience the waves. And one of the best things an emotional being can do is actually track their emotions to become more and more connected to how they feel their waves. By embracing patience and allowing your emotions to ebb and flow, you can access your innate wisdom and make choices that align with your true self. So the wounding for an emotional body, especially somebody with a sacral, or not, yeah, because they've got the energy to say, yeah, like to do actually what they say yes to. But the thing is, you can be in the top of a wave and say yes to something and then regret it tomorrow and then regret it the next day and regret it the next day. And that means it was actually a no. And then if you're in the bottom of your wave and you accept an invitation or say yes to something or say no to something, and because you're in the low of your wave, no, and then you regret it because you feel like you're missing out, but you were just in a bit of a low patch. So it's about checking in with yourself over a couple of days, even saying, can I sleep on it? Some people need a little bit more time to sleep on it, but there can be a limitation space with that as well, in the sense of people getting stuck in a loop of not making decisions because they're giving to themselves too much time. So there's something to watch there. And just check this chat box. My biggest life lessons have been around patience. Yeah, I reckon we've probably all been hit with that stick too, hey, Pauline? Yeah, slowing down, the feminine. Yeah, it's sort of been whacked out of us a little bit. So, sacral authority. If you have, actually, even while I'm talking, if you can chuck in what your authority is, if you know what it is, in the chat box, and I'll scroll through them in a minute just so I can connect in with your types. So the sacral authority means that the sacral is defined, which also means that the solar plexus is undefined, because if you had a defined sacral and a defined solar plexus, because of the hierarchy system, the solar plexus would trump the the sacral. So with a sacral authority, you have a powerful gut instinct that drives your decisions. This gives you clarity in the moment. So it's hit bang. When you know. So you respond to life's questions and situations with a full body yes or a full body no. Trusting and honoring the sacral response helps you stay in tune with your authentic desires and needs. So like I sort of tapped on before about the wounding, because a sacral authority has got the because the sacral, if you have a defined sacral, it means you have a motor. So there can be a little bit of wounding around saying yes to things simply because you actually have the energy to do it. But the trick is checking in with yourself to see if it actually lights you up. And if it doesn't, if it's a hell no, then I think I tapped onto it yesterday as well, around about getting comfortable with saying no and developing some language. And to be honest, to start with, you might even want to start using the emotional mantras in building some space for you to create a habit of saying no. No, thank you. I've thought about it. No, thank you. But once you've given yourself space to practice, it's back to that tip at the start of the hour was creating that pause. So creating space for you to create a new habit, and then over time you will start to trust your gut instinct in the moment, because you'll be practicing feeling so bloody satisfied because you're only saying yes to the things that you like, and you like saying yes to the things you like, and you're tired of saying yes to the things that you don't like and living in that not self. So I'm just going to have a look at these messages. Now, yeah, makes heaps of sense. But there's lots of conditioning around authority. Tanya's sacral, Linda's emotional, Catherine's sacral, Shannon is sacral, Andy is splenic, Heidi ego, Jess emotional, Pauline solar plexus, so you're emotional, Pauline. And yeah, Linda, you have both because you are a mani-gen, so you have a defined sacral and a defined solar plexus. So you will still be getting the hits, but the thing with those hits, if you are in the high or a low of your wave, you won't actually get a genuine recognition of the sacral response. I've got a story to share with you about that. Tree is emotional. Both my sacral and splenic is defined. So the sacral trumps the splenic. So if you I can show you quickly on here. You can see there that the sacral is above the splenic. So if you didn't have a sacral defined, you would be a splenic authority. And you'd be a completely different type because you wouldn't have your sacral. So it's around that that hierarchy system. And you will get splenic hits, but again, like I said to Linda, you still have to be regulated to be able to feel those intuitive responses in your body. Nyla, something I have to learn, not sure what yours is. So we'll get to yours. Nyla, you're right at the end. I'm sorry about that because you are the smallest percentage of the population. So the lunar authority we will get to shortly. Yeah, so Nyla, your lunar authority. Jenny, emotional mani-gen. So you again have the sacral and the solar plexus defined. So if you're defined sacral and solar, question mark. So that's you, right, Pauline? I'm sure you're a mani-gen, an emotional mani-gen, right? So that's why your sacral, yeah. Your sacral is defined because that's what gives you your motor, that makes you the mani-gen you are. And the solar plexus is what gives you your authority. So, and as you can see on your screen, with the hierarchy of authorities, emotional trumps every other definition in the chart. So, yeah, you could have all of these defined, but if you've got the solar plexus defined, you will always be an emotional authority. I hope that's clear. Let me know, revise the question if I'm not making any sense to that, or we can unpack it in a reading or in return to you, or however you feel fit. And I have to really say thank you so much for all the questions, because I've got a list of content that I really want to get up. Some really nice, basic, clean info sheets that allows you to refer back to both this and the sheets, so you can get some real clarity around all of these pieces. Like I was saying, I sort of tapped on with Linda about about the sacral and the emotional authority. She will, so if you are an emotional sacral being, you will experience that gut response, that sacral response. But if you are in the higher, the lower your wave, it will be very, very difficult to feel a genuine sacral response. And that goes for other people in your space. I'm emotional, my son's emotional, and my husband is and daughter are both pure generators. And so I've known for a while how to operate with my daughter, especially. She doesn't usually come up with ideas. She needs things to respond to as a sacral. So it's like, what do you want to, she often comes to me and says, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I don't know. What do you want to do? But she needs things to go yes and no to. So do you want to go for a walk? Do you want to do some art? Do you want to do some cooking? Shall we go for a drive? So her responses in the moment can be enacted, so she can feel the sacral response. And for me, my understanding, I don't have a sacral, but after speaking to lots of sacral beings, the sacral response can feel like an expansion for a yes and a contraction for no. So this is why we need to create this pause in our lives, so we can find space to connect in with our body and actually feel into the responses and the intuition that it carries for us, because this is where our authority is driven from. It's not from our mind. Our head is a pressure center. We have this pressure to know everything, but that is not where our decisions come from. So swinging back to my daughter, I was in a pretty intense wave a few months ago, and I was throwing her questions and she couldn't respond to me. She was looking at me like a deer in headlights, I would say. And I was throwing her things to respond to, just like I do every other day, but she just could not respond to me at all. And that is because she was absorbing and amplifying my emotional wave. And it was intense. It was very intense. So she actually had to go to her bedroom and actually clear out her sacral center, her emotional center, her solar plexus, and then work out what she needed to do. So just remembering around those open centers that absorb and amplify, even if you're not an emotional being, if you are around somebody that is emotional, your sacral will be disrupted. And any other part of your intuition centers will be disrupted because you'll be feeling a wave frequency in your body. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to move on to splenic authority. If you have splenic authority, you will have a defined spleen, and you will have an undefined sacral and an undefined solar plexus. You have an innate intuitive awareness that guides the decision-making process. It is a subtle, in the moment sense of knowing. By trusting and acting upon these quiet, unrepeated, intuitive nudges, you can make choices that serve your highest good and maintain your well-being. So my coach is a splenic authority. She tells me that when she feels the splenic response, it is like this. It's like the sacral. It's just as quick. It's in the moment, but it can be a whisper. It can be really subtle, and it doesn't keep hitting you in the face like the sacral does. The sacral is really persistent. And when you start saying yes to something that you want to say no to, your sacral's probably going nuts the whole time, going, I told you shouldn't have fucking done it. So whereas the splenic, it'll just give you this little clue. And if you don't undertake it, you'll miss that opportunity, and it doesn't really come back around again. So again, the pause and creating space to connect into the intuition and hearing and feeling all of that is essential. Just check this chat. Did sacral have a mantra? Did sacral have a mantra? Oh, like the emotional body. I don't know, Heidi. I haven't really created one. I think because the emotional piece is so important to me as an emotional being. But I think probably for a sacral being is only say yes to whatever lights you up. Yeah. Linda, so if you don't have a defined emotional, you reflect others' emotions. Is empath those around you more? So yes. So if you don't have a defined emotional, so if you've got an undefined solar plexus, you will absorb and amplify their defined emotional center. Does that make sense? I.e. empath those around you more. So those with an open, an undefined solar plexus are probably the most truest sense of an empath, because they are actually absorbing and amplifying the emotional frequency that is around them. Does that make sense, Linda? Let me know if there's any more questions in relation to that. Yeah, cool. And Catherine, yeah, if it's a hell yes. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And actually, thanks for pointing that out to Linda, Catherine, because I'll just kick back to this sacral. because the sacral, I haven't really talked about it here, but the sacral, another clue for a sacral being is the guttural sounds and that they carry. And so I talked a little bit about the contraction feeling for a no and the expansion feeling for a yes, and that will feel different for everybody. So it's just connecting in to grunters. So it's just connecting into how your body responds to those things. For me, as I observe my my sacral beings in my home, it's often I use food as a really good example because there's not much weighing on that, but you can play with the sense of that. And so my daughter asks me generally even before breakfast, what are we having for dinner? And I will throw her ideas, and this is what I do now because this is what she needs to respond to. And she will often come back, she doesn't actually have to say yes or no. I can just look at her body and listen to her, because there's a lot of or so those, and you can tell by those two sounds whether they're a yay or a nay, right? So when we're deconditioning, when sacral beings are doing some deconditioning, this can be a really good insight into that internal guidance system working. So like if someone is offering or inviting you to the movies and you're like, and then you go, yes, yep, sure. Well, you haven't just listened to your sacral, because is a no. Your sacral works in the instant. If you are taking time to think about things, then you're questioning your inner guidance. And hearing me say that might be triggering for some sacrals, because especially women, and I've talked about this a little bit before, we have this process of making decisions because we have to, does it fit into his schedule, and can I manage that with the kids, and what's my neighbor going to think, and blah blah blah. So there's lots of ways that we bounce around and mull over decisions. But the reminder here now is that the sacral gives you an instant response, and it's starting to lean into that, listen to it, and getting used to saying the uncomfortable no's. I often see it too at in kindy with the kids, and when they really like something, it's like num 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 num. The really noisy eaters. So that's probably a really good indication that they've got a sacral too, because that's their bodily and vocal response to what's lighting them up. So you see that in your granddaughter, Heidi, that she's a sacral being. You feel into that. That just lights me up, because when people make connections with human design and the people in their lives, that's when we can see where we're holding conditioning for them and asking them to operate in a way that they don't, they're not supposed to. And that's where we break down the conditioning, and change the world. Cool. So I think we're clear on splenic. It's really similar to the sacral. It also will be obscured if you are absorbing and empathing on somebody else's emotional wave. So again, being clean and clear in your aura, and connecting in with what your bodily instinctive responses are when the spleen says, yep, you've got to do that. And you got to listen, because it doesn't come up again. The opportunity sort of falls away. Ego authority. So this is you, Heidi, and it's specifically for manifestors. It's only a manifesting authority. So there is no other motors defined. The other motors are the root, the sacral, and solar plexus. And there is a connection between the ego and the throat. Your truth lies within your words, particularly when they aren't controlled or thought about. So it's almost like, must tell me, Heidi, because when I was reading about this today and just bringing all my ideas together, it said about blurting things out. Do you feel like you're a blurter? Because that is your truth. The stuff that comes out unfiltered is your authority in action, and it is very in the moment. So your heart's response to a decision is crucial. And I think so this is why the ego is sometimes called the heart, because it is very cellularly driven. So it's all about your heart's desires. So if your heart is not fully invested or singing about your choice, then it's not correct for you. But if it is, that's your path to take. So yeah, your ego really leads the way, but because you have that motorized throat, it is what voices out those unfiltered words that is guiding you towards what is the right or wrong thing for you to do. Sometimes yes, but I also sit on my truth sometimes, and I'm unsure whether to speak it. And maybe that's because you're empathing on people around you. So it's probably just being observant of that. And maybe you can create some space where you go to the toilet and speak to it in the mirror. So creating a space for you to practice that, and then build the courage to do that, because going back to yesterday's training around that type and the strategy, and inform is your way forward. And so it's this stuff that you're blurting out, the truth, that unfiltered truth that's coming out, that is actually clearing the way. That's your aura working for you to make way for you to chase your heart's desires. Yeah, it's just that pause piece again, isn't it? And it's to recreate new habits. Cool. Next is the self-projected authority, and I don't think we have anybody here today with this self-projected authority. So this is just for projectors. So there is no motor and has a connection between the G center and either the throat or the ego. So decisions are best made when you hear yourself speak without consciously thinking about what you should or shouldn't say. And this is a bit like the manifester, because there's this connection to the throat. It's about it's all about voicing. By honoring their personal truth and staying connected to their authentic voice, they can make choices that support their growth and self-expression. So yeah, voicing it out. The outer authority is specific to a mental projector. So that is a projector that has no defined centers below the throat. So for them, decisions are influenced by their open centers and is characterized by the need for the right environment and the right people to make the right decisions. So sometimes this outer authority is also called an environmental authority. And so that key piece there, it's how influential, how you're absorbing and amplifying the environment around you is how you make how you lean into correctness for yourself. Conversations and seeking feedback from others provide valuable insights and deep understanding. This process of externalization allows you to make choices that are informed and aligned with your highest potential. So for a mental projector, for somebody with environmental authority, it is super important for them to have like a trusted confidant, somebody that they can wholly and solely trust with everything that they are unpacking, because they don't need permission. They don't need to be agreed with or disagreed with, but they just need a really safe sounding board to be heard and seen. My youngest son is a projector. Do you know what the his authority is? That'd be interesting to know. Projectors, I love projectors because I'm a projector. And yeah, they're very misunderstood, as is a lot of self-projected. Cool. So for him, that being heard is really super important. And he's he will say unfiltered things, and as an adult, we generally like to readjust what's been said or recorrect or redefine how that's come out, because, you know, we're here to teach them, aren't we? But actually, he's a guide. He's a guru. He doesn't need to be taught. He just needs to be heard, because he's going to have some cracking wisdom that just needs to have a safe place to land. Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome. And the last one, Nyla, I hope you're still here. So lunar authority, and this is specific to reflectors. They have no defined centers within the chart. By observing and reflecting on your experiences over time, you can gain clarity and insight into your choices. So the slow, contemplative approach helps them cultivate a deep connection with their inner wisdom and make decisions that align with their authentic selves. Now, I've been diving into this quite a bit lately. I really want to understand more of the reflector lunar calendar, because my very best friend in the world is a reflector as well, and it's really, I just think it's really important, because there's such a small piece of our population, and I think not much diving into goes down that track. But there is, how the lunar authority works is that the moon actually works its way through all 64 gates in 28 days. I don't know how it does, but I'm going to work that out. Stay tuned. I will get some information up for you, Nyla. So the sense of a lunar authority waiting 28 days, a full lunar cycle for decisions. And now this is not like the sacred decisions about food. We don't want to wait 28 days to eat. But for big decisions, moving town, buying cars, those sorts of things, shifting jobs, those, big decisions, really need to observe 28 days to feel into all the archetypal energies of each and every gate of those 64 gates, to feel what is correct for you. To me, it sounds like bloody torture. I mean, Pauline, you're talking about patients waiting 28 days to get some clarity. But when you see a reflector in a really healthy environment, they are so bloody powerful, and show us how we're doing. So really, really powerful. Comments. And that's my eldest son as well. Yeah, very cool. He's self-rejected too. Very interesting. In awe of reflectors, yes, Pauline, especially in your comment about patience. Powerful and very zen. Yes, beautiful. My Sagittarius get in the road there. Do you know of any famous reflectors? I don't off the top of my head. I can't remember. I'd have to do a bit of a Google. It'd be really interesting, actually. I might even add that to some content so people can connect to that. Thank you, Heidi. Now, I am aware that we're at 50 minutes. If you have to kick off, then do that. And because I'm going to keep going through into the profile lines if you're all keen to stay. Yes, of course, Nyla, you are famous. And yeah, if you need to go, you can catch this later on a replay, so don't feel like you need to stay. So the profile lines. So just like we're talking about the gates, this is all sort of intertwined. Sandra Bullock. Ah, yeah, very good. Yeah, interesting. Very cool. Let me go back. Sorry, girls, been distracted. Profile lines. So there are 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, represented as figures composed of 6 stacked lines, and each one speaks to a different theme. So this is how the I Ching and the mandala all sort of come in and work together. So that correlates to the 64 gates within the body graph and corresponding to the 64 hexagrams of the I Ching. So each gate also has 6 lines, which add further detail to the particular role of that gate. So it's almost like how we're talking in session 1 about the centers. The centers have that archetype energy, that theme, and then the gates all have a flavor of that particular archetype theme. And then the lines come into that and give a nuance and a different way of learning through that particular gate. So when the gate is activated or highlighted by the planet, so you know in your columns of planets down the sides of your chart, it will move through each of these 6 lines, and it's shown as the decimal place within the planet box. So if we ran today's chart, we would see all the gates that are gates and their lines that are currently highlighted or activated by those planets at this particular point in time. Just like when your chart is a snapshot of the gates that were highlighted at your time of birth. So those decimal points within those planet boxes are what relate to these 6 lines. So the profile lines, your profile is a unique combination of 2 lines which together provide insight into your strengths, challenges, and life purpose. So your human design profile is derived from the gate line within the Sun and Earth placement. We talked about this before. I just wanted to make this really clear. So these are the decimal points that are attached to the gates within the planet boxes. So the first number is from your personality, the conscious part of your chart. So that's on the right-hand side, that's in black. And the second number is from your design, the unconscious side, and that's on the left-hand side, and that's in red. So for me, this is off my chart, this particular picture. So I'm a 2-4, so you can see that my conscious number is a 2 and my unconscious number is a 4. Something that I didn't say the other day about the centers and then the gates and then the channels. So they all carry their own archetypal energy. And so when the gates come together as a channel, they create this beautiful symbiotic blend of those 2 flavors of those 2 themes of coming together. And that's basically how the profile numbers work as well. So each number carries an energy, and when you put them together, it creates a very unique characteristic that you carry in the way that you learn and navigate through life. So the profile lines, we've got 6 lines that represent a progression of learning or an evolution of energy. So in the I Ching, when they talk about these 6 lines, they refer to it like a house. So the 1, 2, 3 is like the foundation, and the 4, 5, 6 is the top part of the house. So when you're thinking about how we evolve through learning something, we start at 1 and we do a lot of investigation. Whether you are these lines or not, I can just see the energy of how we evolve through our learning. So line 1 is about investigating, researching, finding all the information. 2 is about going inward. How do I take that information? How do I integrate it? What does that mean to me? 3 is experimenting, going out there, getting your feet and hands dirty, trying everything, trial and error. 4, it's networking. It's getting with your friends and going, do you know, I learned all about this, then it meant this to me, and then I experimented, and now I can see this, this, and this. So that's how the 4 line works. And then the 5 is the heretic. So it's about going, I've done all of those things. It's the next evolution of learning. It's like, I can help you. Look at me. I've done all this stuff. And then the 6 is the role model. It's the sage, the oracle, the mentor. So they've done years and years and years and years and years of experimenting, integration, and then they come to a space where they can show and lead the world. So we'll just go and break down each of these lines, try and whiz through them real quick. So line 1 is the investigator. So the possible combinations for one line is 1, 3, 1, 4, 4, 1, and 5, 1. Investigators have an innate need to probe the depth of any topic that interests them. Go ahead and pop in your profile numbers if you like. They are driven by a need for security, which they obtain by gathering information and understanding their environment on a deep level. The depth of their research and understanding often results in a strong foundation of knowledge, and that's what gives them that sense of safety that they can leap from, because they feel safe, because they feel like they've got a really good understanding. Line 2, let me just check this chat. Multi-layered. It is just so multi-layered, Heidi. It's, yeah, we're just scratching the surface, I tell you. Shannon, you did your son's chart and he's a 6/2 emotional generator. Powerful chart. Role model, hermit, lots of emotions. You're probably hard out empathing on him all the time, girl. Pauline is a 1/3. Jess is a 3/5. Tanya's a 1/3. Jenny's a 5/1. Linda 3/5. You have 6 FOMO. You're a legend in your own right, mate. You're all good. Catherine's a 1/3. Heidi's 2/4. Shan's 5/1. Melva's 3/6. I'm a 3/6. Kayla, Kayla, you're a 3/6. Whoa, that's a double whammy, like a triple whammy experimenter. And both kids are 4/6. Powerful numbers, mate. The 4/6 is really rare. My family has such a mix of numbers. Yeah, it's interesting how it all works. And Cherie, first 3 children, 5/1, 1/3, 4/1. Oh, cool, yeah. And 4th is 3/5, and you're a 6/2. Yeah, I can't wait to unpack your chart, mate. Yeah, we've got a lot of rare numbers there. So let's just kick into the rest of these. Nyla, I can't remember yours, girl, but I sent it to your messenger actually. And your son is a 4/6. Yeah. So one thing that I probably haven't tapped on here is with the slides is that the number, when you've got a small number and then a big number, you carry an interpersonal karmic learning, which means it's really about a very introspective way of being, and and how you launch into the world from your own understandings. Whereas when you have a big number and then a small number, it's transkarmic. So it's really about community and how you interact with others. Like there's a really big theme in your life that has a community undercurrent, really, if that makes sense. So line 2, that's the hermit. That's my conscious number. I'm a 2-4. Possible profile lines with the 2 are 2-4, 2-5, 5-2, and a 6-2. The hermit has a strong desire for alone time. These individuals are often introspective and may require solitude to recharge. They are drawn towards self-discovery and often have a powerful process of internalization that supports their self and understanding. Alone time is bread and butter for the hermit. It is really important for them to have that space to integrate. That is actually how they grow their wisdom. So with a 2 line, they are very wise. They often, it has a projection field on the line 2. Line 2 and 5 both carry a projection field. The projection field on the 2, I feel, is a lot softer than the 5, but it works. What the projection field means is that there is a need for responsiveness between energies. So you feel that line through others almost. So, and I'll dive into that with the 5, but with the 2 line, it's almost like you need others to show you your wisdom. So when people are around you, I don't know if you connect with this, Heidi. I certainly have. I've needed people to tell me what my genius is, because I just think that everybody's clever at that. Of course, everybody's got their thing. So, and human design was one of those things for me. So yeah, the 2 needs that projection from others to see their own wisdom. Let me just check these chats. Nyla 5-3. Oh, cool. Good job. Heidi, my other son 4-1. I understand that totally. That's awesome. Thank you, Catherine. And see that in your daughter. Yeah, she's 2-4-2A. And that just, like I said before, makes my heart sing when you can see it in the people that you love, because then you can start being aware of where you are asking them to do something that they're not designed to do. Line 3, the martyr. Possible profile lines with a 3 are 1-3, 3-5, 3-6, and 6-3. So the martyrs learn best from direct experience, often through trial and error. They are willing to challenge existing rules and methods to uncover what truly works. Exploration is crucial to their process of learning and growth. There is a lot of wounding for a 3, I feel, because this world, for whatever reason, and it's probably come from our generators, no offense to the generators, but from historically, that you get up, you do your job from A to Z, and we're all hunky-dory. We're building the world. We just have to get up, work hard, and go to bed. And in that lens, somebody that cuts corners, doesn't finish projects, can't follow through on things because they're just taking little bite-sized pieces out of all parts of life, experiencing and eating up everything. Society norms go, but you are the people that bring innovation into this space, because we need people to experience things so they can share their experiences with us, and then we learn and we all grow. The line 4, the opportunist. This is my unconscious line. Possible profile lines with a 4, a 1-4, a 2-4, a 4-1, and a 4-6. A 4 line has a natural talent for social interactions. They can cultivate deep and meaningful connections with others and have an uncanny ability to network. These networks provide a strong and safe foundation. They understand and value the value of relationships and can effectively navigate social structures. A bit of wounding with the 4 line is ending of relationships. That's really hurtful because you don't have acquaintances. When you have somebody in your circle, it's deep. And it has to be deep and it has to be trusting, because that's the foundation that an opportunist work from. If you are a 4 line, if you're a 4 line, you will probably look back across your life and look at all the opportunities that have come your way and realize that they haven't come off your own bat. It's off your own bat, but it's through someone else. So I look at mine, like my very first job that I ever had was babysitting, and it was for friends that my parents had. The next job that I had was with my mum had worked for them, and then I got that job. And then when I went and worked at another job, I knew the HR consultant there, and I felt like I got a shoe in. And my husband, I met him through friends, and and so on and so forth. So a 4 line often struggles with change as well. They're not as flexible as some of the other lines, like a 3 line, because they like the safety and security of the networks that they have. So if a 4 line is looking for a new occupation, a new career or something, or even new relationships, they'll do a lot of scouting and a lot of research, or not research, but recreating networks before they launch off that foundation. So change can be uncomfortable for a 4 line. Jess, your girls are 2 4s and 1 3. I'm wondering whether how I mean, we've covered all those lines now, whether you're connecting in with those. Jack all over. What was he, Kayla? I'm just scrolling back up. Did he have a 3? I'm so glad you're resonating and seeing him here. Cherie, my 3-5 manifestor struggles. No, I know why. Yeah. Cool. 4-6. Yeah. That makes heaps of sense to me too, Kayla. Even me creating a relationship with him, it wasn't hard work, but it did take a lot of time to establish a really strong base with him. You feel like he's more of a martyr. Thank you for saying that, because that reminds me, when I kick into the 6 is a double 3. So hold the phone, we'll get to there. It took me 6 years to move location. Only happens once I made new friends in a new location before I move. That's your 4 all over, girl. Absolutely. Line 5, the heretic. Possible profile lines are 2-5, a 3-5, a 5-1, and a 5-2. They have a natural ability to share practical wisdom in a universal way, making them resourceful, capable, and fantastic problem solvers, especially in a crisis. Can carry a sense of responsibility to be of use to others. And this is where the projection field comes in. It means that people project their expectations and assumptions onto this person too. So you can, I think I had it right on that first slide when we went through them all. They can be seen as the savior. So sometimes a 5 line, people are drawn to you because they want you to help them. or there can be completely the opposite as well. There can be this real a love or hate relationship with the 5. And that's because of this projection field, that it's almost like a mirror. So and that's why people think that you can save them, because they see themselves in you. And so those people that they either think that you can save them, or the other ones don't want to take one look at what you're showing back to them. And so they will project all their shit onto you. It's not personal, it is their own shit. So the biggest thing for a heretic is to know that to be in their own energy, and to know not to take any attacks personally, because it's just their own shit. Just check these chats. As a single woman, this could be beneficial to know potential partners in HD. And that's a really good point too. Pauline, the way the chart works, we actually seek out naturally, because we're all energy, right? We seek out people that complete our chart. I always say this in my readings. It's like Jerry Maguire, you complete me. If you have got a really healthy relationship with somebody, it's probably a really good cue to think that your charts actually marry up. So and mine and my husband's do, where I have open centers, his are defined. A lot of our channels are completed by each other. So how we talked about hanging gates. I'm starting to get chunked out now. So that means that you have a channel and one gate is defined and the other gate is undefined. So you generally seek out people to complete the energy of that channel, because the channel creates a beautiful dance between those two centers, and it helps you feel more whole. Resonate with the heretic. Yeah, the 5 line, it's a love or hate thing. My son has 5, he's a 5-1. Yeah, nailed your 5-1 perfectly. Yeah, it's funny when you can see it, eh? And Melva, son, 5-1, lots of kids kicking around with 5-1. Makes so much sense. Thank you, makes perfect sense. Beautiful. Let's kick on to this last line. We're almost there. Line 6, the role model. Possible profile lines are 6. With a 6 is 3-6, a 4-6, a 6-2, and a 6-3. The 6th line has a 3-part life process. So I can feel like a 6 line can sometimes feel like, what's this life about? Because they have these 3 segmented parts to the way that their life unfolds. So the first part of their life, the first 30 years, is about exploration and experimentation. So like I don't know if I said it before, but the 6 is like a double 3. So Kayla, are you with a 6-3? So you like, triple whammy with the 3 energy. So the second phase of the role model is being on the roof, and this is a time of introspection. It's like almost like the 3. How would you explain it? It's like the 3, then the 2, and then the 6. Like, so the first phase is like, just give me so many experiences, newness. I need to experience so much of life, adventure, all sorts of things. And then between 30 and 50 is about letting that all settle. There's still the desire to experiment, but it's not as insatiable as that first 30 years. But because you're slowing down and because you're integrating all your experiences into the way you are and who you are, and really discovering what sort of role model I want to be, because from the age of 50, that's when you step into this new phase. And I mean, these are approximates. You'll start, and it's like numerology. You'll start blending those energies at you'll have a transitional phase over a couple of years, and everybody will experience that differently. So yeah, the final phase of becoming a role model is in the last part of your life, so it's from 50 onwards, and that's when there is no desire for experimenting. You're just very content with all the stuff that's integrated into your life, and you really step forth into this magnetic being that people look to learn things from. So wondering how you connect with that, Kayla. Me and my grandson nearly complete each other, explains why I feel so close to him. And it's like, it's coming back to that, the energy conversation. And we all know if our body's regulated and we're connected in, and we know what feels right. And it's just when we get stuck up here, because this pressure center tells us we need to know. But if we can just take a moment to step out of that space and step into your body, you can feel that energy and what's right, and then acknowledge it and know, of course, I complete his chart. We're made for each other, basically. Cherie, first 30 chaos, second looking back, third stepping forward is how I look at the 6. Yeah, it's probably a really, as long as you have a really healthy relationship with the word chaos, because let's not create any attachment to that either, because creativity is also chaos, and expansion, and breaking limitations, and innovation all comes from chaos. Makes sense for you, Kayla? Awesome. Instantly explains a lot of your life experiences. Perfect. Floating my boat, people. Floating my boat. And what else do I need to do? I think that's it. This is all dropping in so well and making so much sense and clarity. Awesome. Thank you. It's been amazing. Love it. So that's the end of our slides. Stop the clock. If you've got any questions, please jump it in now. Like I've just got there, I've got so much more cheat sheets and information sheets that I really want to get into that space that can really support everything that's unfolded over the last 3 days. I'm always available for questions. Please, if you have some, you can send me a message, because I know that will prompt something else for me. If you're asking a question, then somebody else is asking that question too. So it needs to be answered. And what else? I think that's it. Let's just check the chat. Check any questions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Love this so much. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I would like to do my children, but still can't access the site. That's interesting. I'll send you a couple of other links, Pauline, because there's not, if Gen Matrix, and it could be just to do with apps and operating systems on whatever you're working with. But I mean, there is oodles of free reports, and Human Design, actually, ahumandesign.com. It's an AI space, but you can put your details in there and get I don't know, I think it's like a 20-page report, which is, it's actually pretty bloody good, because it goes through all the things that we've just talked about, and it is specific to your information, but and of course I'm always available, because it's one thing getting a chart. I've actually had a few people come to me that have had charts run from other people and have come to me to unpack and understand the pieces. So it just depends on how you like to consume that information and integrate it into your body. So yeah, the matrix one's been working for you, Linda. Yeah, and I think Pauline's been using that one as well, and it just hasn't been working. But there's I'll send you some links. Cool. If we are all done, then I will say a good night. We might do just a little bit of a cord cutting and an aura cleanse. If we just check. Cool. Just take a moment, take a breath, close your eyes, just relax down in your seat. Take a big breath, another big breath. Letting all of that just roll off and let it land the way it needs to. Take another deep breath in and out. And just imagine we're just cutting all the cords from around our body. Go right around the outline of your body. Feel that it is completely clear. And as we take our mind down to the core of Papa, right down to the center of the earth, and see a little white orb down there, pulsating and turning and shifting. And just imagine that coming up through the layers of Papa, up all the way to the surface of the earth, to your feet. Imagine that white, beautiful, grounded light coming up your legs, clearing and cleansing and turning and spinning and clearing and cleansing everything as it comes up your body, up to your knees, up through your thighs and your hips and waist, all the way up your middle, around your tummy, your solar plexus. Actually, let's just stop there for a minute and let it spin, because I can feel there's a little bit stuck in there. Spin that white orb, twisting, turning, spinning, cleansing and clearing. Then bring it up to your chest. Keep your body nice and white and cleansed as it's coming up through your shoulders, all through your arms, your neck, your chin, your face, the back of your head, the top of your head, and all the way out into source. And your whole body is white. Give yourself a bit of a shake. Come back into your body. And yeah, now we can kick off and go to the rest of our day. Thank you so much for jumping in. Really, really appreciate it. And talk to you soon. See you later.